I'm looking at the weather forecast, and here we go. Another week, week and a half of extraordinarily beautiful temperatures and sunshine and great weather. And I'm just wondering, is this unusual? Why are we getting all this great weather? So I called and up to the National Weather Service office in White Lake. Joining us now is meteorologist Trent Frey. Trent, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Splash Live and doing so at the last minute. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. Happy to be here.
So, is it just me, or have we been having remarkably nice and warm weather this late fall 2022?
Yes, we have. It's been warm the past week. Actually, about 2 weeks. We had a stretch of 70s back there for a while, and then we just got through another stretch of 60s the past week or so. So it's certainly been running a bit warmer than normal. But if you actually look at the month of October as a whole, we remembered we had some 40s back there too. So for the month of October as a whole, it actually kind of balances out close to normal. But what has been pretty notable has been how dry it's been. For the month of October, we only got about an inch of rain, which is about an inch and a half less than what we would normally get for this time of year. And, that adds on top of an already pretty dry year. We're actually in the 11th driest year on record so far, which is pretty significant. We have a period of record of 149 years at Detroit. So we're sitting about 9 inches below normal rainfall for the year. So
Well,
as you
and
can expect.
one of the benefits, Trent, of that is that I think our color season ended up, and it's not over, but it's been more spectacular than I can remember. It's wind and rain that knocks those leaves off the trees, and it seems like this year the trees have just been maintaining their leaves for a long time, and we've had obviously beautiful, clear days to go out and warm to enjoy them.
Yeah, that's right. And the moderate drought that we've been in actually kind of helps out the colors a bit too, because the trees are a bit more stressed this time of year. So that brings out more of the colors.
So we got like another week and a half, it seems, of pretty mild weather if I'm on target. I'm not a pessimist, but I always see this happening and think, well, oh, what's coming to make up for all this? So Mother Nature is a way of balancing things out. What are your thoughts about what our West Bloomfield winter might look like?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So we're actually going into another La Nina winter. This will be our third one in a row. The past couple years have been pretty close to normal temperature wise, but La Nina tends to tip us more towards a wetter than normal pattern. And whether that means more rainy conditions, more icy conditions, more snowy conditions, we can't really differentiate between that. But in general, wetter than normal, kind of encompassing all of those conditions, is more likely, especially as we get later in the winter.
Yeah, I thought I read something about like a triple La Nina. Am I quoting that correctly?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Like I said, this is our third La Nina in a row, and this is only the third time on record that it's actually happened. So pretty
So
rare.
So listen, when Trent says this, my friends, this isn't Farmer's Almanac, not to indict the Farmer's Almanac, but this is the real stuff. And we know that we're going to have, anything can change, but it's likely we're going to have a wetter winter. So now we're all wondering, will it be a wetter, warmer winter? That's kind of a hard thing to say, wetter, warmer winter. Or will it be a wetter, snowier winter? And we've not had a good, snowy, blizzard-packed winter around here that I can recall for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, it's been, I think in my recent memory, since about 2013, 2014, that winter was pretty good for snow around here. But yeah, it's temperature wise, it's going to be harder to tell. La Nina doesn't really tip us in one direction, whether it's going to be colder or warmer. Generally, we'll see more variability. So we could see something like what we had a few years ago with the polar vortex breaking down and causing Arctic air outbreaks. But those happen on less than the seasonal scale, and they're much harder to predict this far in advance.
Well, I'm
So we
going to
could see some cooler periods, but in general, we're not tipped in one direction for
And when
temperatures.
I was reading the articles about the triple La Nina, one of the things it brought up that it is some chance of, with all this moisture coming, it's a little bit more likely that we might get one of those ice storms. And we've had some really devastating winter ice storms here. It's one of the things that can, knock out our power and cause a lot of inconvenience for several days. And hopefully we don't have the right temperature conditions that cause a severe winter ice storm. But the more moisture we have, the more likelihood of rain, ice, snow, and all the things that get in the way of our travel and enjoying our lives.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Ice storms are one of the biggest hazards we have here in Southeast Michigan, and it's been a number of years since we've had a really significant one. So it's definitely important to stay prepared because it could happen any winter, and this winter's no different.
Well, Trent, I'm a pilot and a weather junkie. I could talk to you all day, and unfortunately, we only have another minute or so. I really
Sure.
enjoyed it. It was a couple of years ago, coming up to the White Lake office and interviewing a couple of your colleagues. Just how fortunate are we to have that office so close to our communities?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great resource for everybody, and the best part is it's funded on taxpayer dollars. So our agency is costs about the cost of a cup of coffee per year for each person. So really invaluable information. You can go to weather.gov/Detroit, and it's staffed right here in White Lake. We are a team of about 24 people that work here, and we're here in the neighborhood working on the forecast 7 days a week, 24/7, and keeping an eye on the radar to keep people safe.
All right, Trent. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us on short notice and being such a good
Sure.
guy. And every time I've been in your, well, the one time was in your office, but every time I've called, you guys have been extremely accommodating, and we appreciate it. Thank you for keeping us safe during tornado season, during these big winter storm warnings. And I always like it when they come across to us in the media. They're very, very helpful to share with the audience. Trent, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to help out.